Personal branding is about more than showcasing your skills. It's about more than showcasing your expertise. A personal brand is an asset, it's a tool, but it's not to be taken personally. But even in not being taken personally, there needs to be a cultural boldness that goes along with it. There needs to be something that is uniquely you, a blend of something that comes through that says, you know what? I'm the most unique thing about my brand. I don't need to worry about competition. I don't need to worry about sticking out an eighth of a foot. Baby, I am the distinction in my brand. And so when we talk about this from a personal branding perspective, what is your culture? What are you embracing about your culture? How is it coming across? And because culture is so multifaceted, I'm not talking about heritage. No, I'm talking about, you know what? There's something culturally relevant that makes you bold. And I'm not saying a hard ass. I'm not saying a false bravado. I'm talking about, you know what? What is authentic to you, which is so fucking overused, it pisses me off. But also, how does it come across genuinely? So today is going to be all about cultural boldness. Stay tuned.
Hey, brand babies. This is Grandma's Podcast, where we go in on personal branding without taking shit personally. Grandma's House is hosted by none other than the Ghetto Country Grandmother. She's here to share her experience, expertise, and education in a way that takes you from brand baby to brand leader. So come on in and hold on to your bourbon, because Grandma's about to spill the tea.
Hey, brand babies, it's your ghetto country grandmother. And I know I kind of just dipped out with no explanation, but I wanted to come back better and stronger for y'all. I promise you I did. I wanted to make sure that I'm giving you something that you can take away and use. Yes, I love the coaching calls that I did and so forth, and those may come back on occasion, but I want to talk to you about your personal brand. And I want to talk about it today from a level of cultural boldness. All right. So being culturally bold is about choosing a culture, not something that's not relatable to you or not relevant to you. I'm not telling you to go out and appropriate somebody else's culture, but a chosen culture based on how you were brought up, based on your past, your present, your aspirations. I'm talking about that culture. And my culture, my chosen culture for me, y'all know is ghetto country. Raised hood adjacent by a country mama. That's my culture. And while the rest of my family doesn't necessarily claim it, it's all up and through there. My mom and them from Texas. My daddy, I ain't even gonna talk. I love my daddy. I'm a daddy's girl, but trust and believe, hood adjacent, all up and through. And that is my chosen culture. Now I could have chosen something else. I could have chosen talking about empathy and all that other kind of stuff. Maybe I'm just empathetic, but I'm not going there. But my other two-word brand, if y'all don't know, is empathic bitch. Cause I care until I don't give a fuck. It's a thing. It's a thing for me. But talking about cultural bonus for people who are out here representing their business, baby, you are your brand and you are all the things. I get it. But there's too much weight put on you being a brand. And I think I've said this before. You don't have to carry that weight. Having a personal brand is not about taking shit personally because now you put on it, you know what? That I am my brand. And then I got to know, like, and trust. So now it's like, guess what? If they don't like your brand, you think they don't like you. No, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. You can't take this shit personally. And I want to change the game of personal branding because I want personal brands to be recognized as an asset, as part of the brand architecture, as part of something that can grow and scale, or either it separates from the business. Because whether I stay the ghetto country forever and a day, or I decide, you know what, I become a person of influence where I no longer have to do that, it's just going to be Phyllis Williams Strouder walking in the room. We can grow apart, but having a chosen culture that lets you be bold, that helps you alleviate the imposter syndrome, that helps you stand 10 toes down in your shit, that is some powerful, that's some gold right there. But instead, we choose to say, I am my brand. So everything about me is my brand, and it's not. Or I should say it shouldn't be. But I can't tell grown folks what they should and should not do. I'm just saying. Okay. Figure that one out. But you saying that, you know what, I am my brand. Here's my life on display. Where do you get to draw the line? Because now when you go on vacation, when you're doing something with family, you feel like, you know what, I still have to put out content because I am my brand. I have to share my vacation with the world because I am my brand. And while I have no problem with people sharing their shit, I do have a problem with them sharing their life as a form of their business. Your family didn't ask to be a prop. And while we've all grown into the age, oh, take my picture. Oh my goodness. There still comes a time where you need to put the phone down, when you need to walk away from the business. Hopefully you have somebody handling your business. But if you do not, you should have made enough money where you can go away and not have to put your vacation, your life, your dinner, your kids, your mom, your dad. You don't have to put them on display. So I think that place comes from like, you know what? Where am I my boldest? When I talk about cultural boldness, where am I my boldest? It's different for everyone. And it's that level of distinction because now being your brand is so fucking common, you still don't stand out worth a shit. You still look basic because you don't even know what to bring to the game. You don't know what to talk about. You don't know what to be about. You don't know what to write about. You have this big ass content calendar. So whatever pops in your hand falls out on your plate of your brand. It's some shit. And don't get that confused with me saying you are shit. I'm just saying that's some shit. My journey with becoming the ghetto country grandmother, and like I said, ghetto country being my chosen culture, it was a process. It was something that happened over time, but it started a long time ago. I was ghetto country even in my restaurant days, but it was not until I got to branding and understanding branding and learning branding and brand strategy that I actually decided to make it a thing and put it out there in front of everybody. Because one of my insecurities was that, you know, people gonna think I'm ignorant, they're gonna think I'm done, that all of these things because of the way that I talk, because of the vernacular that I use, because this is how I talk in my mama's house. It's how I talk around my cousins, all of that. And when I left my restaurant business to become a business coach, and I thought I had to be professional, and oh, y'all please go look up the word professional because this is not what we are being told, but or sold, I should say. But that whole process of getting to the place of, you know what, where am I most comfortable? When am I most genuine? My most genuine when, you know what, this part of me is there. This is when I treat people like family, and family is very important to me. So this journey of unpacking and unwrapping and unraveling the ghetto country grandmother, that whole ghetto country culture, sweetie, I'm pretty sure there are a whole lot of other ghetto country people out there. They just don't call themselves that. And they don't brand it. They don't package it as such. Because around the ghetto country grandmother, there are boundaries. There is a place where she begins and I end. And how you decide to do that, like I said, how you decide to be bold and not fake, baby, if you gotta fake it, then it's not worth it. It's not. But when you decide that you found that blended culture, whether, like I said, it's from your past, your present, or your aspirations, whether it's rooted in heritage or rooted in music or rooted in art, there's a culture there. There's something that, you know what? This is how I can shine. I have a client right now. He's a shy ass dude, and you could tell because he barely talks to me. He listens more than he talks. And it's seeing people like him be bold in their stand because oh my goodness, his whole persona, once you find that bold spot, he lights up and he shines. He is fucking amazing. And it was okay, this is what we're gonna tap into when you have to, you know what, have a personal brand that goes out there and represents the business. Once you're done, you can go back to being that shy dude, that loner dude, and all these other things. And I told him, I said, and what's gonna end up happening is that all these chicks, once you start making your dollars and your coin and your quan, all these chicks gonna come out the woodwork thinking you the strong, silent type. Because how he is in his personal brand is the boldest parts of him. And we don't always have to be bold and strong, and vulnerability doesn't have to always end in a crying session and us laying our feelings on the table. But a chosen culture based on, you know what, where am I the boldest? It's the thing. So how do you unleash this boldness? How do you grab hold to this boldness so that you can go out here and be your own influencer instead of paying an influencer? Be your own endorser instead of, you know what, waiting for an endorsement. But how do you do that when you're either used to playing small, like I say, you haven't decided what all needs to go into this thing that you're doing, that you're building? Part of what I do with my clients is like that's where branding comes in for me. It's a reminder to you as the person behind the brand, but it's also something for your audience to hook onto. So a lot of people can't have a two-word brand. One of my other clients, one of his two-word brand is more descriptive than it is a moniker. So his whole thing is he's a candid craftsman because dude is gonna give it to you straight. But you know what? He's such a craftsman at what he does. He's artistic. He's 35 years of walking dictionary. You need to come take a class from me kind of shit. But also, you know what? How do I package this? How do I talk about this? How do I position myself? What's my messaging? We found it in the candid craftsman, and it's now coming forth in how he presents his content. He loves doing video. So you know what? Let me go do my thing. So tapping into something that is going to help you make your money, because sweetie, I want you all to make your money. I hate that people are promising you 6 and 7 figures. I can't make that fucking promise, but I do want you to make that type of money. Because we living in a world where that type of money is required to have a decent standard of living. But I'm going off track. Chosen culture. His chosen culture is, candid craftsman. My other client, I ain't gonna tell y'all his because I think I want to get a trademark, but it's a whole ass situation for him to be able to be and do and stand in this and stand 10 toes down. So how you show up with these things is that's your level of magic. And it doesn't require you to put your life on display. I fuss at y'all all the time, and I know I say shit like, I don't need to see you on the beach painting your toes while you eating your avocado toast and all this stuff. And my husband, he cooked yesterday, and he made some chicken, and he fried me some eggs and biscuits, and I wanted to take a picture and share it with the world. I said, "If you do that, you are such a fucking hypocrite." But it was just, you know what? It was the Monday kind of breakfast. And it was more out of pride of my husband's cooking and less about, what, this being part of my brand, this being part of how I share my life. The only personal account I have is Facebook. That's the only place where I will share my family freely. And even then, I don't share my daughter freely because she's a minor and don't nobody need to know all her business, where she is, what she does. But again, but because I said ghetto country grandmother has boundaries, I could not take pride in my various social media forums of my husband cooking me this bomb ass breakfast because, oh my goodness, it was tasty. It was so fucking good. Yes. But I created that boundary. And if I cross that boundary, it's like, you know what? People may be forgiving, but I set the standard. My culture, as far as being ghetto country, has nothing to do with my husband fixing my food. It has nothing to do with his cooking talents. So I had to stand on that. And it's like, dang, you know what? But it's the boundary I created. So when you're unleashing that thing and you're setting these standards, when you're setting these boundaries for your personal brand, when you say this is the culture I'm embracing and it don't have nothing to do with this shit over here, stand by that. That's where the ethical part comes in because it's ethics are for you, not for them. It's like the easiest way you can understand ethics is like, you know what? You always wash your hands when you go to the bathroom, even when nobody's looking. Most folks will go in the bathroom, come out, and I know it's a nasty kind of analogy, but if nobody's looking, oh, I'm just gonna run some water on my hands and I'm gonna leave the bathroom. But then an ethical person is like, I wash my hands all the time. I don't want to spread germs. I don't want to touch anything that, or I might have touched something and I don't want to put it in my face. That's an ethical thing. And so part of personal branding to me requires ethics because those ethics are another form of boundaries. It's like, this is what I said I was about within my personal brand. This is where I stand 10 toes down and you can't make me move. That is part of the culture that I build. When I talk to my clients, I talk about, okay, let's talk to the ethical part of you. Where are the ethics? What is this thing that you're going to do? It's the last part of the code that we break through because the culture that you build, the culture that you're creating, and I can't think of my sweetie's name. I listened to him on Jason's podcast. His last name is Nix. I can't think of his first name, but he's the brand artist. And I was listening to him and then talking about culture. And he said, people make culture. Brands don't make culture. So you being that person within the business brand, you're the one creating that culture. So when you find something, when you find that chosen culture, that is what helps you unleash that boldness. It is what helps you, you know what? I'm okay right here. I'm good with standing right here. That's some bullshit because people are going to try and knock you down. They're going to try and challenge you. They're going to try and push you over. They're going to hate on you. Y'all know, y'all call them keyboard warriors or whatever those people trying to throw shade because they're hiding behind a keyboard and all that kind of stuff. There have been a couple of times I know I saw something on Chris Doe. I saw something on his site and I wanted to say something so bad. And I know Chris, like, let him hate because it helps his algorithm. Then, yeah, I don't know if you guys know Annalie Hansen. Somebody was saying something in her feed, and the woman was like trying to crack on her because she said, because she uses the word tribe. Eek, you still using tribe in 2023? I'm gonna tell her, bitch. But I had to check myself. One, I have boundaries. Two, this is not my fight. But I told y'all I'm protective. I'm protective of my fam. But it's like, this is not my fight. And these is grown ass people, they can handle their own shit because I create boundaries. Now, if that was my real fam, if it was outside of the ghetto country grandmother, I might have went there and I'd have had that fight. I don't have a problem sticking up for my family. But you know what? There are boundaries within the ghetto country grandmother. When you create those boundaries of if you're even going to have a fight, and I'm not talking physical, but I'm talking about what battles are you going to fight via whoever's in your comments, who's ever sending you emails or whatever. I cut somebody out because she's like, oh, I saw your podcast. Bitch, no, you didn't. Because if you had, you would not have sent me this email trying to be on my podcast. So having having that chosen culture, I couldn't even get it out, y'all. I couldn't get it out. But having that chosen culture is what helps you be bold. It's what helps take away the imposter. It's a whole ass situation, y'all. So now let's talk about how do we overcome these challenges. The only thing that I can really tell you as your grandma, sweetie, is going to take practice because even the boldest person, even the most courageous person, at some point you got to step out there and you got to do it again and again and again. And while I don't buy that whole shit, fail fast, fail often bullshit, no, just keep doing it because it's going to get better. It's going to help with practice because even though you're bold in this state, in this chosen culture, you got to learn to be bold with it in public. You have to go out into the public. You have to find a way to market your business. And especially if you have more time than money. If all you're doing is consuming content, you're looking at all the YouTube videos, you're reading all the books and all these, how are you taking action? How are you standing 10 toes down in your shit? Sweetie, standing 10 toes down does not mean you're not moving. It does not mean that I'm not progressing. There has to be some progression. And the only way you're going to have progression is, you know what, you got to make that first step. And I am speaking as somebody that stood still for a long fucking time. I'm wondering why nobody's going to my page. I ain't opened my damn mouth to tell them to go to my page in any shape, form, or fashion. I never said, you know what, I have this thing over here. But I expected, you know what, if you build it, they will come. I see people, oh, they're so gung ho to build their sites, but then they never go out and market their business. I had a call with a young lady yesterday, a potential client, and I went and looked at her feed, and it was a picture of the same thing, not the same exact thing, but in all its forms. And I'm not going to name what it is, but in all its different forms. And I'm like, do people in your industry know what this is? And she said, yeah. Then why are you showing it to them? Why should they care? Because you're trying to position yourself in a way that needs a message. If part of how you want to be known, how you want to be perceived, because perception is a bitch. Like I said, I lived off of perception where I thought people were going to think I was dumb and ignorant and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't matter anymore because the only person that needs to know my level of education is me and anybody that actually asks. But it's like, why are you showing me sameness? Same with my people in the food industry. Love y'all to pieces. But stop thinking it's all about the food. One of the reasons I dine out, because my husband ain't home to cook. I don't cook on purpose. I don't even cook on purpose for my child, and y'all know that. I love her dearly. Come on, baby, we're gonna go eat because your daddy didn't make us no food. That is my go-to. I don't cook on purpose. So if you're going to market to a person that doesn't cook on purpose, how would you send that message? It's not just showing me a plate of food. Yes, that looks lovely. It's not telling me that, oh, this is on special today, so it's $5 left. No, if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. I'm gonna pay your price. But it's something about you saying, you know what? I know you don't cook on purpose. Come over here and sit down, baby, because we're gonna feed you well. You ain't gotta cook for yourself. How that message comes across to me, you can have all my money and a tip. That's my culture, my own personal culture. And there are a lot of people out here that, you know what, I don't cook on purpose. But nobody's checking for us because they're all trying to give a gimmick. They're all trying to say, you know what, now we're getting very techy. We're having robots deliver our food. We're having all yeah, no. I was raised by a Texas mama. If them peaches don't look right, trust and believe they're gonna taste right once she's done fixing them. Once she starts, I gotta doctor it up. Them yams didn't come out right, then this sweet potato pie, we gotta fix it. I want somebody back in the kitchen cooking my food, not no fucking machine. I need you to taste my shit and make sure it tastes okay. I don't care how much salt the recipe called for. If it don't taste right, fix my food. But I still don't cook on purpose. I didn't say I couldn't cook. Don't get it twisted. But when you cater to a culture such as mine, of people who don't cook on purpose, it's not about your food, sweetie. It's about why don't she cook on purpose? What can I do to let her know that I'll cook for her, that I'll take care of her, so she don't have to cook, so she don't have to do the dishes, so she don't have to be mad about why is the dishwasher still full of dishes. I come from that culture. And that's why I say culture is multifaceted. It is not just what you see. It is not just this, you know what? She's part of the Black culture. She's part of the urban culture. She's part of the ghetto culture. No, you can make all those perceptions just based on me being a Black person and the way that I talk. But what if it's a Black person with the Ivy League education that knows how to enunciate words and can pull five syllable words out of their back pocket? You gonna try and categorize us the same? No, not unless we both of us don't cook on purpose. That's our culture. Baby, what you gonna do for me? How you gonna feed me? Yes, I know it's good, but how you gonna take care of a sister that don't cook on purpose? So it's getting to that place of nurturing that boldness by practice. It's and nobody if nobody shows up the first time, it does not mean you stop. And most of us give up. It's like, okay, and again, I'm using myself as an example. I will put out one tweet a month, wondering why I don't have 1 million followers. That's just a bit of no, it's a big ass exaggeration. But that was me. I put out something once and wonder why nobody's flocking to it. There has to be a consistency there. And while I'm not chasing algorithms, I had to learn to be consistent. And that consistency comes with practice. It has to overtake my what how can I say that? Procrastinative, is that a word? I don't know. But it has to overtake my procrastination because I can do that too sometimes. Phyllis procrastinates. Ghetto country grandmother does not. When I decide that I go into ghetto country mode, you don't get to do what Phyllis gets to do. Bitch better have my money. For real, for real. So tapping into that level of practice. And then when you find out that, you know what, it's not working for you or your audience, then you get to practice something else. It's not saying that you change everything. It's just, you know what? This ain't working for neither one of us. Let's find a common ground. So now let me practice this thing. And the expertise comes in the practice. My daughter's one of those that think, oh, if I don't do it right the first time, I'm a failure. Yeah, it's some teenage bullshit, but you got to practice. You have to practice being bold in that chosen culture in order for it to start making a difference for you and your audience. You have to practice the voice that you decide to take on within that chosen culture so that it begins to take hold and make a difference for you and your audience. Just saying something once, just saying that I am my brand, I don't mean a motherfucking thing. Nothing. All that's telling me is that you just put your fucking life on display. And while some people are okay with that, you do you. I'm not telling you not to. But if that's the best you got, is all you got is putting your life on display, where's the business? That woman that I talked about that put ink on Annalise's thing, I went and looked at her feed, calling herself I don't even know what her title was. But all this feed didn't have shit to do with whatever she said was up in that bio. She was just one of those, "Oh, look at me." How you gonna try and call out somebody as raggedy as your shit is? I'm telling y'all I coulda ate it for breakfast, but, oh, not my fight. Not crossing that boundary. Yes, that's me. Like I say, Phyllis is a petty bitch. You got a country grandmother, an empathic bitch. 2 different things, 2 different things. Before I finish this out, I wanna take a pause for the cause. Listen up, y'all.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one trying to find the perfect balance in life? Even at 15, I know that's bullshit. My mom wrote this awesome book called Balance is Bullshit. It's all about making your own decisions. It's time to stop chasing balance. Make a choice that's right for you right now. Life isn't meant to be perfectly balanced. It's meant to be lived with all of its ups, downs, sideways, and every single lesson it's got. So if you're dealing with tough decisions, this is the book for you. It'll get you in the right frame of mind to tackle anything that comes your way. Listen, you gotta embrace the scary shit. Don't let fear cloud your judgment. Trust yourself because you have got what it takes. Say yes to what matters. Don't be afraid to say no to the rest. Do yourself a favor, check out Balance is Bullshit by my mom, Phyllis Williams Trotter. It's relatable, honest, and it'll make you think. Trust me, I would know. My mom is raising me to make my own decisions, and this book is like a high five from her to you. Make your own decisions and live life on your own terms. Because balance, well, that's just a bunch of bullshit. Thank you so much for listening. Now go grab that book, dude.
Now I wanna move on to because I want you to understand that having that chosen culture starts to create a community, a tribe, a fam, or whatever. It starts to surround you with people who are like-minded. I'm not saying they're going to agree and like everything about you, but there is something about the vibe that you give off based on that chosen culture, based on that boldness, because boldness breeds confidence. Ugh, and confidence is some sexy shit. Oh, yes. But but I'm sorry, that community of folks that start to gravitate towards you, of that attractiveness, that magnetism that you have is based on that chosen culture. It is not based on you being a brand. It's not based on you putting your whole life on display because now we see everybody. We don't have relationships anymore. We have fucking audiences. Kind of sad, but that ain't my fight. That ain't my fight. But it's having the ability to attract people based on standing 10 toes down in this chosen culture, this cultural blend, whether it's past, present, or aspirational, whether it's rooted in heritage, music, something, there begins to come together a culture. And that culture will insulate you. And then it's and like the reason I started individuals, why I prefer solopreneurs or business of one that plan to scale is because now you're creating a culture from the inside out. Most corporate brands are truly forward facing. The shit they say to their audience, their clients, their customers is not the shit they say in house. All they tell people in house, get back to work. We are seeing all the layoffs. We're seeing all the automation to replace people. There's all these different things to take people out of the equation. And for a people person like me, I don't give a fuck if I'm in a room full of folks not talking. I love being in that room full of folks. I just want to sit back, have my drink, and smile at people smiling, cry when I see people. I'm that person. I'm a people person. But we have all these other things that are trying to replace that. So your personal brand is the distinction, the uniqueness, the stand out of your business brand. A part of the architecture at the foundation of what you're building. You're not building something to become a toxic corporation. Nobody starts out like that. It is when you start taking on the corporate tendencies. I'm not about that life. A lot of people who do what I do, they're trying to find, you know what, I work with mid-level businesses. I work with clients that generate 1 million in revenue. Sweetheart, chasing companies is not a thing. Because at the end of the day, you gotta relate to a person sitting behind a desk. It's always person to person. It is not B to B, it is not B to C. It is person to person. So when you have this chosen culture that unleashes this boldness, that builds this community, I feel like, what is that? This is the rat. This is the cat that killed the rat that laid in the house of Jack. But that's what that shit started to sound like. Anyway, but when you start to put all these pieces together, it makes a difference. Someone said the other day, people who are good at sales have bad brands. And while I'm sorry, I agree just a little bit, just a tiny bit. But I also agree. I also think that people who are good at sales are good at people at not at people pleasing, but at engaging with people. And they like that chase. They like that back and forth. It's their adrenaline rush. So it's not necessarily that they don't have a brand or they don't want a brand. It's like, I don't need a brand because I'd rather go, you know what? Let's go on the hunt. Let's go find some money. Let's go make some money. Let's go have this conversation. But there's a boldness there because we all have to learn to have the sales conversation. We all have to say, you know what? This is, and not my price is my price kind of shit. That's your arrogance talking. But when someone asks you about a price, they don't give a fuck about the price if they have the money or they can find the money. What they care about is the value. And so if your culture has built up in a way that they see value, then whatever price you pull out your ass is going to be the right price. And what they'll say once they pay for it, ooh, I got my money's worth. Ooh, you know what? That wasn't worth what I paid for it. Or you know what? You should be charging more because the culture that you've built around the chosen culture that you've created, built a community where they understand this is valuable to me. I've had so many people go on my website and download my 2-word brand kit. It's amazing that so many people are doing it to me. And that's just because you know what? All the other shit that I used to put out there for free downloads, folks wasn't checking for me. But it is what it is. But those same people will get the two word brand kit and then they unsubscribe. That's fine. Take your punk ass on. Because even if you download the kit, do you know how to use it? Do you know how to incorporate it? And I'm actually making a free course for that for people who are still on my site and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's not the point. People are going to take, but then some are going to stay. Take the money and run, or are you going to stay for the value? Your personal brand is the one that You know what? That person to person value. But it can't be so strong that, you know what? I will only deal with you, because people get caught up in knowing the boss. They get caught up in knowing the owner. Well, I know the owner. Go sit your ass down and let my people take care of you. I got shit to do. I have to run a business. I don't have to wait on tables. I don't have to draw your shit. I'm not the day to day, because part of building a brand, if you want to scale beyond a business of one, is you have to brand out of the day to day. If you treat yourself like an employee, guess what? The people that pay you are going to treat you like an employee. And this is why I hate the term freelancer. Shit, free is in the name. It's why I dislike places like Fiverr and Upworks and all that kind of stuff. But I understand it's a necessity for people who don't know how to brand and market their business. But it's a way for other people to take advantage of something that's, you know what, is relatively cheap. But then you go to people who have higher prices and say, well, I can get this on Upwork for this. Then why the fuck are you coming to me? You knew what my prices were. You knew what my standards were when you walked through the door. Come at me talking about you can get it cheaper. Hell, you can actually get it for free if you go figure the shit out for yourself. Cultural boldness. I can say that. I have no problem saying that. So it's that community starts to rally around that type of message. I have a client friend and some friend, client friend, but whatever. But I can't even get it out. She tells me every week how my podcast is. Like, yeah, no, I didn't like that one. No, that one's bad. That one's good. That one's great. Oh, that fed my soul. Every week, she tells me something. I have another client after every session, every week, he sends me an email. Oh, that was a good session. Send me some homework. And it's because of the culture that I have created with him. I have my sweetheart, AB. I think I told you about him before. Me and AB have never worked together. But AB is my grandson. He is my only grandson. He said, "Can't none of y'all other whoever be a grandson." That's his. All the rest of my clients, those are my grandbabies. That's mine. But I only have one grandson. He might let y'all borrow it on occasion. I don't know. But that was the culture that I built. And he didn't spend no money with me. And I didn't tell him that he could not be my grandson. We know each other professionally. We know each other virtually. But because it became a thing, hey, grandma, that's how he calls me. Hey, grandma, what's going on? Be leaving a message. This your grandson. It's the culture. So you get to build that community. You get to build that connection with the audience based on the boldness of your culture. It's a thing. And so I just want to wrap this up and I want you to learn to embrace that. You're going to have to practice it in order to embrace it, because part of personal branding is being very self-aware. And a lot of people miss that point. It's like I can talk about any and everything because I have an opinion about fucking everything. I'm pretty sure I do, but I see shit in shades of gray, so I'm probably not the best person. But I do have an opinion about everything. But that's not my business. That's not what's going to make me money. Why am I over here talking about turtles? Turtles ain't got shit to do with what I'm talking about unless a turtle needs a personal brand. So learning to embrace certain things and I know ego has gotten a bad rap. I believe in brand ego. It's a thing for me. It's part of my process. We go from brand identity to brand ego to brand image. It's a process because your brand egos have to, you know what? I have to be okay with being known for this thing. I have to take pride in the work that I offer based on this thing. It's not saying I got to stand in arrogance. It's a fact that I'm good at this. It's a fact that I've been doing this for the last 25 years. It's a fact that I've made this amount of money doing this thing. It just is what it is. My ego can handle that. I don't need to talk about it. I just need to get results for you. So when my brand ego stands here and says, you know what? This is how I communicate. This is my audience. This is how I market my shit. This is how I position myself. Setting up camp. Y'all heard that, right? All that stuff right there, that's my brand ego. I stand 10 toes down in my shit. And so this is what a personal brand has. It has brand ego, not arrogance of being a fucking brand. Being a brand is tiring, it's tiresome. I don't know what else to call it. But learning to embrace the chosen culture that creates community, that makes you bold, sweetie, that's all yours. And I tell people, your personal brand will grow and mature because you're still learning to lead. Because that's also the role of the personal brand, to be a brand leader. And as you learn to lead better, which should never stop, you know what? It starts to hit different. And you get to embrace that. So while this is over here evolving, your personal brand is evolving, your business brand gets to stand 10 toes down. We are always going to be about this thing. We are always going to be about this thing. It does not change. The value of it does not change. But personal brands, they evolve, they attract, and they change. In a sense of, I'm not changing my ethics, but I'm changing how I lead because I've grown, I've matured, I've leveled up who I engage with. It's a thing. My sweetheart, Sean Walshout of Digital Hospitality, he changes. It used to be rising tide lifts all boats. He said, no, rising tides lift all ships. Like a boat. It's a thing, sweetheart. Be culturally bold in your shit. Don't let somebody tell you, oh, that's inappropriate. Don't let somebody tell you that that's a thing. Only thing I ever ask, be respectful. Respect other people's space. Respect other people's houses. Don't try and force your way in. If they don't accept you, then that ain't your place. You ain't got to have that fight. But cultural boldness, people are going to respect the fact that, you know what, I stand here 10 toes down in what I'm bringing to you. The only thing that can make me move from this spot is me. That's it. So that's all I got for y'all today. This is my comeback episode. And like I said, I'm only slightly sorry that I left y'all without a reason or without telling y'all that I was checking out for a while. It just is what it is. So let's count it on down. 5, bullshit happens. So suck it up. 4, your voice is important. So speak up. 3, you make the world a more beautiful place. So show up. 2, life is good. So buck up. And 1, I love you and ain't a damn thing you can do about it. So shut the fuck up. Peace and hair grease, y'all. I'm out.
All right, brand babies. We appreciate you stopping by because we know you got shit to do. Just remember to subscribe on your way out and bring a friend next time. In the meantime, and in between time, stay connected with your brand mother on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The links are in the description. And your brand mother wants you to remember that personal branding is not just personal, it's also business.